Please, Lady in Blue.
A 6-year-old girl had been leaving letters for the Virgin Mary every day in the backyard. For months, her mother didn't even notice, until one day she discovered what was written in those letters and witnessed a miracle of the Virgin Mary that no one could explain. But before we continue, leave a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is there right now. I would love to see how far the miracles of the Virgin Mary are reaching. You know that kind of mother who is always busy, always with the phone in her hand, always just 5 more minutes? The kind who loves her children more than anything, but life simply consumes her? Sarah Mitchell was that mother, 34 years old, a corporate lawyer in Boston, recently divorced. The ex-husband had walked away without looking back, leaving behind only silence and bills to pay. In the makeshift office in the living room, Sarah lived trapped between her laptop and her phone. Endless meetings, urgent deadlines, demanding clients, and Emma. Emma Mitchell was 6 years old, brown hair always tied in a ponytail, dark eyes that watched everything with that quiet attentiveness. She was quiet. Too good, really. She never complained when her mother said, "Just a little longer, sweetheart." Never threw a tantrum when Sarah forgot to ask how her day at school had been. Emma simply accepted. "Mom, can I play in the backyard?" "Of course, honey. Stay over there where I can see you from the window." And Emma went, with her sketchbook, her colored pencils, that silent world she had created for herself. The backyard wasn't big, but Sarah maintained it just enough. Trimmed grass, a few flowers her grandmother had planted years before. And in the calmest corner of the garden, sheltered by old rose bushes, there was a shrine. It was made of stone, gray and weathered by time, about 5 feet tall. Inside it, exposed to wind and rain, stood a statue of the Virgin Mary. The statue had belonged to Sarah's grandmother. When she passed away 3 years earlier, Sarah brought the statue and placed it in the garden. Not out of particular devotion. Sarah barely went to church, but it was family. It was pretty. It was a memory. The Virgin's mantle was painted a soft blue, faded by the Boston sun and rain. Her hands extended forward, her face serene. Sarah walked past that shrine every day while watering the plants, but she never truly looked at it, never paid attention, until that October Saturday. For weeks, Emma had developed a routine. Every day after school, she asked to play in the backyard, and she stayed there for an hour or more, always in the same spot, always near the shrine. Sarah, from the office window, saw her in passing, thought it was cute, thought it was convenient, the daughter entertained, the mother able to work. She never asked what Emma was drawing with such dedication. It was on a Saturday morning that everything changed. Sarah woke up at 7 with a strange restlessness, made coffee, sat in the kitchen. The house was quiet, Emma still asleep. She looked out the window toward the garden. The rose bushes needed trimming. She decided to take care of that before the day warmed up. She put on old boots, grabbed the pruning shears, and went outside. The morning air was cool, dew on the leaves, that silence that only exists early, before the world fully wakes up. Sarah started with the rose bushes, cutting dry branches, shaping them. And that's when she saw it. From the angle where she stood, she could see inside the shrine, and there, on the left side, protected from the rain by the stone structure, were papers. No, not loose papers, envelopes, folded, carefully stacked. Sarah frowned, dropped the shears and stepped closer. She picked up the top envelope, simple white paper, a bit wrinkled. On the back, written in crooked handwriting, "For the Lady in Blue." Sarah's heart made a strange jump. She opened the envelope with fingers that trembled slightly. Inside, a sheet of paper torn from a notebook, and on it, the same handwriting. "Dear Lady in Blue, my friend Lucas is very sick. He doesn't come to school anymore. The teacher said he is in the hospital. Please help him get better. He is very nice to me. Emma. Sarah read it. Read it again. Her stomach tightened. Lucas? Who was Lucas? Emma had a sick friend in the hospital, and she didn't know? She picked up another envelope. This one was more crumpled from moisture. Dear Lady in Blue, it's been 2 weeks. Lucas still hasn't come back. I draw him every day. I draw him happy, playing, running, so you can see that he needs to get better, please. Emma. Sarah sat on the grass, still damp with dew. She picked up another envelope. And another. And another. There were at least 15 letters there, each one a request, a prayer, each one written with that simple, absolute faith. Dear Lady in Blue, Lucas's mom is very sad. I saw her at school picking up his things. She was crying a lot. Please make Lucas get better soon. He needs his mom to be happy. Emma. Dear Lady in Blue, I promise to be very good. I will clean my room without Mommy asking. I will eat all my vegetables. Just make Lucas get better. He has to grow up and play like me. Emma. Sarah was crying when she finished reading the last letter. Her 6-year-old daughter, her quiet daughter, who never complained. Her daughter who she thought was just fine, playing alone in the backyard. She had been carrying this, alone, for months, writing letters, making requests, praying for a friend Sarah didn't even know existed. And she, Sarah, the mother, the person who should have been paying more attention, hadn't noticed anything. Mom, Sarah turned quickly. Emma was at the back door, in pajamas, hair messy from sleep. Emma, Sarah didn't know what to say. She was there, on the ground, letters scattered around her. Emma saw them. Her eyes widened. She ran to Sarah. You read them. Her voice was small, frightened. Sarah pulled her daughter into a tight hug. Emma, sweetheart, why didn't you tell me? Emma stayed quiet for a moment. Then, with that brutal honesty, I didn't want to bother you. Those words pierced Sarah's heart like a knife. Her daughter had learned it. She had learned she shouldn't bother anyone. Emma, tell me about Lucas. Emma sat on the grass beside her mother. She started slowly, but the words began to flow. Lucas Morrison, 6 years old, like her, sat next to her in class. He was funny. Always shared his snack when Emma forgot hers. One day, 3 months ago, he was absent. Then absent again. Then a whole week. The teacher gathered the students and explained with that soft voice adults use when they have bad news. Lucas was very sick. He had gone to the hospital. They didn't know when he would come back. Emma had been devastated. She cried on the bus ride home. But when she arrived, Sarah was in an important meeting, office door closed. So I came to the garden, Emma explained, and I saw Grandma's statue, the lady in blue. And I remembered that Grandma always said we could talk to her, that she always listens. And you started writing the letters, Emma nodded. Every day, after school, I write and draw. I draw Lucas happy, healthy, to show her how he needs to be. Sarah hugged her daughter so tightly that Emma protested, Mom, you're squeezing. Sorry, I'm sorry for always being so busy. I'm sorry you had to carry this alone. Emma looked at her mother with those big, serious eyes. But I wasn't alone, Mom. The lady in blue was with me. I feel her when I come here. And Sarah realized her daughter had something she herself had lost years ago. Faith, hope. That simple certainty that she was not alone in the world. It was already 8 in the morning. Let's find out more about your friend. On Monday, Sarah did something she hadn't done in months. She called the school. Hello, I'd like to speak to Miss Jennifer, first grade teacher. One moment. Miss Jennifer speaking. Hello, this is Sarah Mitchell, Emma's mother. I'd like to talk about Lucas Morrison, my daughter's classmate. There was a pause. Ah, yes. Emma and Lucas were very close. She has asked about him often. Could you give me the family's contact? Emma would like to visit him. Of course. I'll give you his mother's number, Jessica Morrison. I'm sure she would appreciate the visit. Sarah wrote down the number, took a deep breath, dialed. Hello? Jessica Morrison? My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm Emma's mother, Lucas's classmate. The voice on the other end softened. Emma, Lucas talks about her. He has a drawing she made. He keeps it with his favorite things. Sarah felt her heart tighten. I found out my daughter has been praying a lot for Lucas. She would like to visit him if you're willing. There was silence. Then Jessica spoke with a trembling voice. You would be very welcome. Lucas has had difficult days. Seeing a friend would be good. Could we go tomorrow afternoon? Yes, please come. That afternoon, when she picked Emma up from school, Sarah did something different. Instead of staying in the car checking emails, she turned off her phone. She went inside the school, waited for Emma at the classroom door. Emma came out and froze, surprised. Mom? On the way home, Sarah said, I talked to Lucas's mother. We're visiting him tomorrow. Emma lit up. Really? Really? That night, after Emma fell asleep, Sarah did something she had never done before. She gathered all of Emma's letters and read them again. Every single one, slowly. And she realized something that made her cry even more. In none of them did Emma ask for anything for herself. She never complained that her mother was busy, never mentioned that her father had left. Never talked about her own loneliness. She only asked for her sick friend. Sarah went to the window overlooking the garden. The night was dark, but the moon lit the stone niche. The statue of the Virgin Mary seemed to glow softly under that silver light. And for the first time in years, Sarah felt the desire to pray. She stayed right there at the window, looking at the statue of the Virgin Mary, and she whispered hesitant, I don't know if I still know how to do this properly. It's been so long, but my daughter, she believes so much. And that boy, Lucas, he needs help, please. If you're listening, watch over him and help me be the mother Emma deserves. The words came out awkward, uncertain, but they came out. Sarah remained there for long minutes, just looking at the garden, at the niche, at the statue of the Virgin Mary. On Tuesday afternoon, Sarah and Emma went to visit Lucas. Sarah held Emma's hand tightly. She didn't know what to say, how to behave. But Emma seemed to know exactly what to do. Room 411. Sarah knocked softly. Come in. Jessica Morrison was sitting beside the bed. She looked exhausted, years older than she really was. And on the bed, Lucas. He was small, thinner than he should be. But when he saw Emma, his face lit up in a way that made Sarah understand. This friendship was real. It mattered. Emma! Emma let go of Sarah's hand and ran to him, not with fear, not with pity, with pure joy. Lucas, I brought a new drawing. Sarah stayed at the door with Jessica, watching. Emma had brought her latest drawing. It showed the two of them at the school playground. Bright blue sky, yellow sun, huge smiles. It's for when you come back, Emma explained. We're going to play hide and seek and tag and everything. Lucas held the drawing as if it were made of gold. You always make the coolest drawings. The two of them began talking about school, about the teacher, about what snack was being served in the cafeteria, as if they were simply catching up with a friend who had traveled, not visiting someone in a hospital. Sarah looked at Jessica. How is he? Jessica closed her eyes for a moment. The doctors are doing everything they can, but it's serious. The next tests will determine a lot. When? Next week. Sarah took Jessica's hand. She didn't say, everything will be okay. It would be a lie, and both of them knew it. She simply held her hand. Emma has been praying for him every day. Jessica began to cry silently. Thank you. Thank you for coming. You have no idea what this means. People, they stop visiting, they stop calling, and we get so alone. After an hour, when Lucas began to get tired, they said goodbye. In the parking lot, Emma was quiet. Mom? Yes, honey? Is he going to get better? Sarah knelt to her daughter's height. I don't know, Emma, But I know the doctors are doing everything they can, and I know you're being the best friend he could have." Emma looked at her own hands. "But the lady in blue will take care of him, right?" "I pray every day." Sarah hugged her daughter. "I know you pray, and I'm going to start praying for him too." The following weeks were different. Sarah began to change. Fewer meetings, less time on her phone, more time with Emma. Every day when she got home from school, Emma went to the garden with her notebook. She wrote her letters. She made her drawings. She stayed there in the quiet corner beside the niche, silently talking to the statue of the Virgin Mary. And Sarah watched from the window. She didn't interfere. At night, after Emma fell asleep, Sarah went to the window. She looked out at the dark garden, at the niche illuminated by the moon. And she prayed, always hesitant, always unsure. But she prayed. They visited Lucas twice a week. Some visits were better, Lucas more lively, talking, laughing. Others were difficult, Lucas too tired to speak, only holding Emma's hand while she told him stories from school. Jessica and Sarah became friends in those hospital afternoons, a friendship forged in shared hope and shared fear. "The tests are next Monday," Jessica confided on a Thursday. Sarah squeezed her hand. She had no comforting words, only presence. On Monday, Sarah was at work when her phone rang. "Jessica." She answered, her heart racing. "Sarah." Jessica's voice was different, strange. "Jess, what is it? The tests?" "Sarah, the tests. They improved." Sarah had to sit down. "What did you say?" "They improved. The doctors are surprised. They say they didn't expect that the numbers that were bad are now better." "Significantly better? But how?" "They don't really know how to explain it. They're calling it an unusual response to the treatment. They'll run more tests next week to be sure. But Sarah, for the first time in months, they're using words like promising and hopeful." Sarah started crying right there in the office. "Jess." "I know, it's not over yet. There's still a lot of treatment ahead. But it's the first good sign we've had, the first." When Emma came home from school, Sarah was waiting in the yard, beside the shrine. "Mom, why aren't you at work?" Sarah knelt down. "Emma, I got a call from Lucas's mom." Emma tensed immediately. "What happened?" "His tests got better, sweetheart. The doctors are surprised, but he's improving." Emma's eyes widened. "Improving? For real?" "For real." Emma looked at the statue of the Virgin Mary, and then, with that absolute faith, she smiled. I knew it. I knew she was listening. Emma ran to the shrine. The girl placed her hands on the stone niche, looking up at the serene face of the Virgin Mary. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for taking care of Lucas." Sarah stood there watching her daughter, and she whispered her own words of gratitude, so softly that not even Emma heard. Weeks turned into months, and Lucas kept getting better. The doctors remained cautious. "Unusual response," they said. "Better than we expected, but we'll keep monitoring." Jessica called Sarah weekly with updates. Each call brought slightly better news: Lucas gaining weight, more energy, fewer bad days. In February, Lucas was discharged. He would still need regular checkups. He would still have monthly appointments. But he could go home. He could start normal life again. In March, he returned to school. Sarah took Emma on the first day. She wanted to be there. She wanted to see. They arrived early. They stood outside the gate, waiting, and then they saw. Jessica and Lucas were walking along the sidewalk. Lucas was wearing a new backpack. He had a cap on his head. His hair was still growing back. Still gaining weight, but he was there, smiling, walking. Emma shouted and ran. Lucas dropped his backpack and ran too. The two of them hugged with that kind of strength, that tight, genuine hug from people who hadn't seen each other in a long time. Sarah and Jessica stood watching, both crying. "How can I ever thank you?" Jessica whispered. "How can I thank you for your daughter never giving up on him?" Sarah shook her head. "Emma taught me everything. She taught me how to have faith again." That afternoon, when they returned home, Emma went straight to the garden. Sarah stayed at the window, as she always did, watching. Emma picked up paper and pen and wrote a letter. Later, when Emma came inside for dinner, Sarah went to the niche. The letter was there, folded carefully. Sarah hesitated. Then she picked it up and read, "Dear Lady in Blue, thank you for taking care of Lucas. He went back to school today. He's okay. We're going to be able to play again. Thank you for taking care of my mom, too. I think you heard everything, all my letters, all my drawings. Thank you for never letting me be alone. With love, Emma." Sarah held the letter to her chest and let the tears fall. She stayed there, alone in the garden, as the sun was setting, and she whispered, "Thank you. Thank you for saving that boy. Thank you for saving me, too, from a life where I was so busy I forgot to live. Thank you for using my daughter to teach me what truly matters." The wind blew, the rose bushes swayed, that rose scent filled the air, and Sarah knew, with that kind of certainty that goes beyond logic, that she had never been alone, that Emma had never been alone, that Lucas had never been alone. 6 months later, a spring Sunday afternoon, the garden was bursting with life. The rose bushes around the niche had bloomed in red and pink roses. Sarah was planting more flowers around the niche, making that corner even more beautiful. Emma was playing with Lucas in the yard, their laughter filling the air. Jessica was sitting on the bench, watching. "Appointment last week," Jessica said. "The doctors they're calling it complete remission." "Sarah, complete remission." Sarah squeezed her friend's hand. "Thank God." "The doctors keep looking for explanations," Jessica continued. "Theories about treatment response, about factors we don't fully understand. And I let them look. Because you already know the answer. Because I already know the answer." The two of them stayed there, watching their children play. And Sarah looked at the statue of the Virgin Mary, at that stone image that had been there for years, ignored by her, but never abandoned. A statue that had seen everything, that had heard every letter, every drawing, every request from a 6-year-old girl who refused to stop believing. And in that garden in Boston, on an ordinary spring afternoon, Sarah understood miracles happen, not in the way we expect, not on the timeline we want, but they happen. Before we finish, I want to invite you to be part of our prayer community for the Virgin Mary, a space of faith and hope where people from all over the world come together to pray and share the graces they have received. If you feel in your heart the desire to be part of this prayer community, click below and become a member of the channel today, and come pray with us. And if you made it this far, to the end of Emma and Lucas's story, do one thing for me. Write in the comments, "Lady in Blue," the words a 6-year-old girl used while writing letters that saved her best friend's life. I want to see how many hearts this story truly reached. And every time I read "Lady in Blue" in the comments, I will know that one more person believes that miracles of the Virgin Mary still happen. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. Share this video with someone who needs to renew their hope today. May the Virgin Mary continue blessing and protecting you and your family. Amen.